Glenn Fisher, Director of Edmond Electric. Corey, thank you. I'm glad I did not have to read all that myself. Basically, what Corey is saying is that for the first time, Edmond Electric is looking to issue debt to cover some of the projects that we have coming up. We've historically, cash funded projects. So over the next 5 years, our project list is outstripping our ability to cash fund those. So we're looking to issue debt to cover those projects. One of the things that want to be all of our citizens to be aware of, even with this $22 million debt issue, we will not see a rate increase associated with this debt service. It fits within our budget. We expect the debt service to run about $2.2 to $2.5 million, which we can easily fund under our existing revenue stream. I do want to say that that is related to base rates. Our fuel cost adjustment is a separate piece that fluctuates month to month, and it's really driven by wholesale power prices in the SPP market. So there's two pieces to our rates, our base rates and our fuel cost adjustment. So fuel cost adjustment, unfortunately, will change. We expect an additional debt service issue in 2030. This is just projects over the next 5 years. So in 2030, we'll look again at what we have. We have a 10-year project list, but we're just looking at this initial 5-year window right now. So the first project is downtown mainline feeders. If you've walked around downtown, you've walked through the alleys, you know that we've got, I don't know, probably 60, 70, 80-year-old facilities in the rear easements through the alleys, things like that. With the growth in downtown, they're not really suitable for handling the new load that's going in. We're seeing much more high-density load in smaller footprints. And so we want to start transitioning those old overhead systems to front lot underground. We looked at using the alleyways for undergrounding, but unfortunately with the size of the equipment and things like that, it would block the alleyways which are needed for access to parking, access for deliveries, things like that. So we need to start looking at using the front. This is not an overnight solution. We're talking 15, 20-year window. This is just 2 main line circuits through there to start branching off to serve that whole downtown area. So this would be the start of the project for the entire downtown. Second project is a new Coffee Creek substation. Several years back, we partnered with Water Resources to buy 44 acres right between Covell and Coffee Creek. It sits right on the OG&E transmission line. We are looking to add a new substation there to add capacity. Part of it will be to feed the downtown area, and part of it will be to pick up existing load. One of the things we found out with the Mitch Park transformer failure this spring, we had to use a spare transformer which has a lower capacity, and we were stretching that to the limit through some of the hotter days this summer, so this will add capacity for the entire area. Garber Substation is down off of Post Road and 2nd. One of the primary feeds for that is the water treatment plant. The water treatment plant expansion, we're expecting about 19 megawatts worth of capacity. To give you an example, the transformers in there are 25 megawatt capacity. So we will use up, in essence, one entire transformer for that new load at the water treatment plant. So we're looking to expand that substation and be able to serve the water treatment load and also additional load out in that area of town. One of the things that we have an issue with all of Public Works is space in the Cross Timbers facility. We moved into that facility in 2007. If you come over there now, we have people crammed in closets. We have training rooms that are now used for offices and things like that. And with the growth in Edmond, of course, means additional personnel, additional vehicle needs. We do not really have the space at Cross Timbers to continue adding vehicles without them being out in the open, exposed to the elements. And so we're looking at a new facility. We're looking to start the design work on this. This property is over off of Progressive Drive. Let's see if I can get the right button here. Progressive Drive. This is the North Timbers facility, the old Francis Tuttle building we purchased that is now housing HR and finance and other departments. Transfer station is here. This is this 19-acre tract. We're looking at using roughly half of that tract for a new office complex. And this is only the design stage right now. And then one upgrade that we want to do to some of our circuits is 2124 has been kind of a problematic circuit. We've got some very sketchy underground through here. This area The school is out here. Acts 2 Church was expanded dramatically recently, so we've got significant load out here and potential for more load in this area. We need some additional capacity out there to serve that area, so we want to expand that circuit. And then, excuse me, last thing we're looking at is solar on various facilities. We are continuing to look for grant opportunities to supplement this dollar amount, where we're looking roughly $2 million. Everything from, there's going to be land available at the water treatment plant. We've got land available around the Coffee Creek substation. We've got city facilities that are potential sites for solar, help reduce our overall wholesale power needs, but also offset some of our entire citywide usage. And so we'll use this money for that, but we'll also, like I said, continue to look for grants to subsidize and supplement that funding. To reemphasize, I said it at the beginning, I want to say it again, no rate increases with this bond issue. One of the things I always talk about, there's always risk, everything you always promise, there's always risks associated with it. Caveat I have on this is material pricing has continued to go up for electric materials, and I think for every material, for anything you buy. And it's still a problem that we're facing. And the other thing is geo bonds. And I talk about geo bonds, and it seems counterintuitive that if you get more revenue in, you may have a rate increase. But the geo bonds are for primarily, if you look at that, the project list, road improvement projects. Road improvements entail relocation of utilities. Now, part of the geo bonds is for relocation of utilities, but if it's not sufficient, we will have to fund that somehow. And that's typically a cash-funded basis, which would mean there's a potential to drive for a rate increase. Don't want to get there. We're going to try to avoid it. But it is a risk factor that I want everyone to be aware of. So with that, any questions?
Thank you very much. Council, any questions?
So in regards to the downtown, what lessons are you learning with the unique sort of urban infill that's going on in projects? I know we have a lot of different footprints happening. What are some of the things you guys are learning with those that are utilizing the TIF or the developers as far as best practices that as far as the infrastructure that'll be needed?
I would highly recommend that, because you're starting to talk about denser infill, that the developers come talk to the utilities up front. Because one of the things we're running across is that I understand the property is very valuable, and they want to use every square foot of that property for their projects. But electric has to go somewhere, water has to go somewhere, wastewater has to go somewhere, solid waste has to go somewhere, AT&T, Cox, other utilities have to go somewhere. And I think it would save them a lot of time, effort, and us a lot of time and effort for them to come up to us in advance and talk to us and develop a utility plan for their proposed projects. The other thing from our standpoint is the density is increasing the load. You're seeing what was a single-family house now being multi-story. 2 houses are being replaced with apartment complexes, things like that. It's doubling, tripling, quadrupling the load footprint, and so we're having to make sure we have the ability to serve that, and that's why those mainline feeders are imperative.
To not get out of the scope of this agenda item, which just covers this bond, I would just maybe make a request to the assistant city manager to make a note in the future that we could figure out a way, if needed, to have the downtown investors, developers, citizens, whatever the group might be, to come and have that, make sure that's calendared if it's not. Just ask for that. Also wanted to say, kind of thank you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking for.
Well, he just said that it would be helpful if the downtown folks met with them. And
Well, I think he was talking on it, like they have a project coming up, go have an assessment and conversation, but it sounds like you're talking about some larger meeting. So I'm not quite clear on if we're all on the same page.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
I'm just suggesting, they know they got some property,
Right.
want to develop it. Before they put, one of the things came up in the developer forum was doing some engineering work and then have the city change it. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to say, hey, we got to put a transformer somewhere. And I don't want them to have to relocate their building, redraw it and everything else. I understand it's a waste of their money. If they come talk to us up front before they put pen to
Right.
paper, we can resolve those issues.
So is it more of a one-off projects coming to talk to you, or is it more of a best practices, get everybody together at some point?
It's really just the individual developer just reaching
Okay.
out and saying, hey, where would you suggest a transformer being? And going from there.
So, on commercial projects in downtown, they have to do a site plan, so they
Right.
come through and all that stuff's accounted for as that process plays out. I think it's mostly the residential projects that
Yes.
don't necessarily have that built in.
They don't have to go through the review process, they can just apply for a
We're
building.
going to look at potentially creating an overlay that establishes that as step one, as meeting with the utilities and having a utility plan in place, even for residential projects. So
Oh, okay, got it.
Yep.
All right. So
Sorry, I should have
that's
clarified
fine.
that.
So it can be captured somewhere in that, so we're not,
up front, so it solve as many headaches as we can,
For everyone.
well, hopefully.
Yeah, we just want to expedite everything for them.
I had other questions, but I can wait.
Go ahead.
On the design for the new workspace, so my understanding, there's multiple sort of departments that need maybe some additional workspace. Some of that'll be accommodated downtown. There's other people that are at North Timbers. So the example that comes up in my mind outside of this would be like police and Parks and Rec have kind of worked together on a site plan and to put out the need for a office space and a workspace out at Lake Arcadia. And so they're kind of working on that. When it comes to the additional space that will be designed, is this strictly for electric or other departments being considered?
We are actually talking to another department right now about their space needs going forward, and we may include that in the overall design.
So what department?
That's IT.
Okay, so I guess from a city council standpoint, I know that electric is funded and they'll have to account for their square foot and there's some legal things there. But just from since we own the land, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So since the city owns the land and we want to make best use of it.
Yes.
I'm assuming this is happening, but if not, we do like a survey of all of our North Timbers folks and say, where are we at with space? And electric is doing this, and not just squeaky wheel gets the grease in the sense that IT might have a great need, but we need to go, in my mind, before I would vote for that, and beyond the, so this is going to pay for the design? Is that
Design,
right?
yes.
So have we gone through and done that assessment with the other North Timbers and other departments?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at the time the discussion started, it was somewhere between should Edmond Electric move or should Public Works move, and
Yes.
who had the most needs. So we did have those conversations. Here's where we've gotten to on that. So I don't know what other departments would be included in that conversation.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just don't want to be in a position 5 years
Sure.
from now, another department comes to us and say,
Yeah.
we have people, we don't have any,
Yeah.
we don't have any
Well-
conference rooms, we're doubling up if there's something that we can do in the design phase of this.
Yeah,
We
we'll
can
reach
definitely
out,
take
and
a
if
look at
there's
that.
other needs,
Yeah.
we'll definitely consider them in this design process.
Well, my question is, if tonight I'm supposed to vote on approving the design, but we don't, and haven't done a full assessment of all the departments who might need space in the next 5 to 10 years, how do we vote on the design work
Well,
tonight?
this is voting for funding to move forward into a design. We're not at the design stage yet.
Okay, so if we vote for
I
this
won't even be
funding,
able
it
to
could
start a
consi- it
design
could
until-
contemplate
It could
that building.
contemplate
Okay,
that,
yeah.
gotcha, all right.
Yeah,
We have to get the money.
yeah. You can ask me that question when I come back and ask for
All
a
right, perfect.
contract.
That's why, there's a lot of great works and
I'll
departments.
keep that in the back of my mind for you.
All right.